Hello and welcome to I Can't Say It, day 237. Ooh, just like the freeway. Anyway, it is a Saturday. It is not as late as it was yesterday when I made the video. Yesterday was still today. So you know how that goes. But we caught our Lunatone, the ever mysterious, always hard to find Pokemon. It only comes out at night, or between the hours of 9 and 9. And you never know where it's going to be, but now we do. We did. At midnight, we found the Lunatone. So we did a little Pokemon today. A little bit of waiting for the guy to come to fix our washing machine. Our washing machine had broken and a motor needed to be replaced. And so it has been replaced. So we're feeling good about that. We are washing some very dirty towels and they're going through the washing machine a second time. And so that's what we're waiting for, and why we're still awake is so that we can transfer them to the dryer so that we can, tomorrow do full loads of clothes, not have to go to the laundromat and spend more money. Yes, I'm very happy about that. So it is with a heavy heart that I must, address the bad news of the day, which was that Senator John McCain passed away from brain cancer. Interestingly, or coincidentally, Ted Kennedy also died from the same thing, brain cancer. I really am not sure how that affects a person, but I can imagine that if your brain has cancer, and that means the cells aren't working the way they're supposed to be, that you're not feeling like yourself. And when you die, you kind of want to be, have your wits about you, and your body just says it's time to go. So, there only have been 2 Republicans that I've actually ever voted for that I can recall. And that's not because I'm anti-Republican or anti-Democrat or pro-Democrat. I pick the person who I think is best for the job. Sometimes I don't vote for either candidate because I don't like what the Democrat says and I don't like what the Republican says. But when I turned 18 in 1984, oh so long ago, I really hadn't fully formed my views yet on, what I would think a president should do. And so I was jumping on the bandwagon along with everybody else, and I voted for Ronald Reagan. I don't necessarily regret that choice. I think he was running against Walter Mondale, and things were seemingly picking up in the country. Oh, excuse me. But I don't necessarily know that that was attributable to Ronald Reagan. Honestly, Jimmy Carter picked Paul Volcker to head the Federal Reserve, and for all we know, the policies under Paul Volcker had more impact on the economy than the president did. So honestly, we could say that the turnaround in the economy in the 80s was due to Carter rather than Reagan, but that's a debate for another day. And the other Republican that I voted for was John McCain in the 2000 presidential primary. At that time, California had an open primary where you could vote for either the Democrat or the Republican. And we know that George W. Bush was running for president at the time too. But given the choice between, in the primary, between Al Gore, John McCain, and George W. Bush, I decided that I wanted my vote to go toward John McCain. I was curious I know that it's just one vote out of millions of votes, but still, I did like the way John McCain approached things. I didn't agree with him on on a lot of things, but there was enough that I could feel that I could support him in trying to be the presidential nominee, the Republican nominee for president. As we all know, John McCain was not the nominee for president in 2000. It was George W. Bush. And then when the election came along in November of 2008, I did not vote for George W. Bush. I voted for Al Gore. And I know that Al Gore was a little stiff and whatnot, but he seemed like he was going to be he was a good guy, and that he would be a good president. And on the whole, I think Al Gore had a tough time just because he was President Clinton's vice president. So Al Gore he had this choice. What do? Do I sort of run with Clinton because Clinton was having the whole Monica Lewinsky thing? Do I separate myself from Clinton? Because the economy was doing really well, when Clinton was president. So you just got to thread that needle that fine needle really specifically. And clearly he didn't. But there should have been a way for him to say, dude, this is the president. Things happened. But look at the economy that we've had. The economy was doing well. We were working on the economy. And if I'm elected, we're going to continue to do some of the same policies that we've done in the last 8 years that have had us this prosperous. Which probably, if he was, more charismatic, he could have sold that to the people. And he came very close to doing that. The election was very close. But there was just enough people that voted Republican to put George W. Bush. Then, of course, we had the crash in April 2000. That's because we had spent all that money on Y2K, and people were investing in websites, but they weren't investing in, things that, have a physical presence. So there was that crash. Or was that 2001? I don't remember. But, when 9/11 came along in 2001, right before that, George W. Bush's presidency was just... And then finally there was a crisis and something he could get around and get into. And, well, we had the whole mess of George W. Bush's presidency. Lots of stuff. Going back to John McCain, though, you want to think about it. You hear Donald Trump talking about how he doesn't think John McCain was a hero. And, I almost get his point. I get his point. I don't agree with his point. Because John McCain served his country prior to being shot down. He may have shot down early in his career. But, nevertheless, he served his country. Donald Trump did not serve his country. You do not criticize the work of a hero. Dude, he was a POW for 5 years. He tolerated all the crap that went on for 5 years. And, he didn't crack as far as we know. And he took it. And you have to think, what kind of man can do that? And it's like, you try to imagine the scenario of you being in that case and being tortured and hit and legs broken, arms broken, and there's just no way to know how you would handle a similar situation. But I do know this. I do know that it takes a whole lot of courage and a whole lot of oomph to do what he did, and that is heroic. And if that is heroic, then guess what? He is a hero. And we need people like John McCain to show us what it's like to be a real person, whether it's a man or a woman. Men or women can take lessons from men or women. Okay? Doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Do you have to look up to men to find heroes? No. Do you have to look up to women to find heroes? No. Find them anywhere. Just doesn't matter. And we had one in the Senate with John McCain. When you think about all the other senators that are in the Senate now, none of them measure up to him. Orrin Hatch has been in there, but he's just a joke as far as I'm concerned, in terms of having principles and following them and doing what's best for the country. When I think of senators of the past, there's Pat Moynihan. I've always had a great deal of respect for. Let's see, Jesse Helms. Never really been a fan, but he was, a well-intentioned senator who served the far right Republicans. What other famous senators do we have out there of the past? There aren't a whole lot of them. But John McCain, he was a good guy. Let's just leave it at that. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a pleasant evening, and I will see you tomorrow. I hope you do not mind that I had some background music going on. Ray Charles' greatest hits. I don't know if you find that disturbing or not. I may or may not watch this video. I haven't watched any of the videos lately, so I just make them and move on. Hopefully my son will enjoy them some day into the future. There's no telling if he will enjoy them or not, but we'll see. All right, so with that, I'm going to wish you all a pleasant evening and see you tomorrow. Bye.